They say you never truly know someone until you divorce them. I disagree. I think you never truly know someone until you stop paying their bills. That is the moment the mask falls off. That is the moment you see the difference between love and logistics. My name is David. For 7 years, I was the invisible hand that kept my household running. I'm a forensic accountant by trade. I look for patterns. I look for the tiny, inconsistent numbers that tell me a company is bleeding cash or that an executive is skimming off the top. I'm good at it. I'm so good at it that I made a very comfortable life for myself and my wife, Sarah. Sarah was vibrant. That's the word she liked to use. She was spontaneous. She was the chaos to my order. Or at least, that's what I told myself to justify why I was the one handling the mortgage, the car leases, the insurance, the investments, and the vacation planning, while she was the one handling the vibe of our relationship. But 6 months ago, the vibe shifted. It wasn't a lipstick stain on a collar. It wasn't a late-night text. It was much more subtle. It was a charge on the joint American Express. $250 at a boutique hotel in the city. On a Tuesday afternoon, when I asked her about it, she didn't panic. She didn't stutter. She rolled her eyes. "God, David," she said, sighing as if I had just asked her to solve a differential equation. "It was a deposit for a venue. For my sister's baby shower. You are so obsessed with money. It's exhausting." It was a plausible lie. Her sister was pregnant. Most men would have let it go. They would have apologized for being controlling. They would have retreated to avoid the fight. But I am not most men. I am an auditor. And when an auditor sees a discrepancy, he doesn't ask for an apology. He asks for the receipts. If you are watching this and you have that gut feeling that something is off, do not ignore it. Do not let them gaslight you into thinking you are crazy. You are not crazy. You are just noticing the data points that don't fit the trend line. And today, I am going to tell you exactly how I verified the data and how I executed the most profitable liquidation of my life. Make sure you subscribe because the payout on this one is substantial. Let's look at the books. After the hotel charge, I didn't confront her again. That is rule number 1 of an audit. Never tip off the subject until the investigation is complete. If you tell them you are looking, they start shredding documents. Instead, I went silent. I engaged what the internet calls gray rock mode. I became boring. I became unreactive. When she picked a fight about me working too late, I just said, "You're right." When she complained that I never took her anywhere exciting, I said, "I'll try to do better." I gave her zero resistance. And because I gave her zero resistance, she got sloppy. I pulled the logs from the family cloud account. She thought deleting the photos from her phone was enough. She didn't realize that I had set up a redundant backup to a private server 3 years ago, when she dropped her phone in the pool and lost all her contacts. I did it to help her. Now it was going to hang her. I found the folder. It wasn't her sister's baby shower. It was Trevor. Trevor was a personal trainer and influencer. I used those terms loosely. He was 35, lived with 3 roommates, and his primary source of income seemed to be borrowing money from women he met at the gym. There were photos of them at the hotel. There were texts, brutal texts. "He's such a bore," she wrote to him. "He checks the credit card statements like a hawk. I can't wait until I can get away from him and we can just breathe." "Just leave him, babe," Trevor replied. "Get the alimony and let's go to Tulum." "I'm working on it," she said. "I need to secure the apartment first." Secure the apartment. That was her plan. We lived in a penthouse downtown. It was beautiful. Floor-to-ceiling windows, concierge service, the works. Sarah loved that apartment. It was her identity. She posted photos of the view every single day. But there was a detail Sarah didn't know. Or rather, a detail she hadn't bothered to remember because she found financial details exhausting. The lease on the penthouse wasn't in our names. It was a corporate lease held by my consulting firm. And it was up for renewal in 45 days. I sat in my office, staring at the screen. I felt that cold, hard knot in my stomach. The betrayal burned, sure. But the disrespect turned the heat into ice. She wanted to replace me with a man who couldn't pay for his own protein powder, and she wanted me to finance it. I decided right then and there. I wasn't going to fight her for the marriage. I was going to give her exactly what she wanted. I was going to give her the rope, the chair, and the drop. 2 weeks later, she made her move. She sat me down on the beige sectional sofa she had spent 3 weeks picking out. She looked solemn. She had practiced this speech. "David," she said, "I'm unhappy. I feel stifled. I feel like I'm drowning in your rigidity." "I'm sorry you feel that way," I said, keeping my voice even. "I think we need a break," she continued. "A trial separation. I need to find myself. I need to figure out who Sarah is without David looking over her shoulder." "Okay," I said. She blinked. "Okay." "Yes," I said. "If you're unhappy, you should take time to figure it out. What do you propose?" She tried to hide her excitement. "Well, I think you should move out. Just for a while. You can stay at a hotel or get a corporate apartment. I'll stay here. I need the stability of the home while I process my emotions." "That seems fair," I said. "You stay here. I'll go." She couldn't believe it. She thought it would be a war. She thought she would have to cry and scream. Instead, I was handing her the keys to the castle. "Really?" she asked. "Really," I said. "But we should write it down. Just to be clear. I'll have my lawyer draft a simple separation agreement. You get exclusive use of the apartment. I waive my right to enter. In exchange, we keep our finances separate during this period. You handle your expenses, I handle mine. A clean break for the trial period." "Perfect," she said. "That is exactly what I want. Independence." She signed the paper the next day. She didn't even read the clause about the lease liability. She didn't read the clause about the utility accounts. She just saw exclusive use and signed her name with a flourish. I packed 2 suitcases. I walked to the door. Sarah was already on her phone, probably texting Trevor that the eagle had left the nest. "Goodbye, David," she said, not looking up. "Try to have some fun. Loosen up a little." "I will," I said. "You too." I walked out. I didn't go to a hotel. I went to my new condo that I had closed on 3 days prior, under an LLC she didn't know existed. Then I initiated the shutdown sequence. Day 1 of the separation. I logged into the utility portal for the penthouse. I selected Stop Service. Reason: tenant vacating. Since the lease was in my company's name and I had vacated per the agreement, I was no longer responsible for the power. I set the shut-off date for 3 days out. Day 2. I called the concierge. I removed Sarah from the authorized guest list for the corporate account. She was now, technically, a squatter in a corporate unit. Day 3. I called American Express. I reported the supplementary card, the one Sarah carried, as lost or stolen, and requested a new card number, which would be mailed to my office. Her card was now a piece of plastic. Then I waited. The silence lasted exactly 72 hours. My phone rang on Friday night. "Sarah." I let it go to voicemail. 5 minutes later, a text. "Power is out. Did you pay the bill?" I didn't reply. 10 minutes later. "David, the internet is down. I can't stream anything. Trevor is coming over and, I have guests." I smiled. She had slipped up. She was so panicked she dropped the Trevor bomb. I replied, "Per the separation agreement, you are responsible for your living expenses. The account was in my name, so I closed it when I moved out. You'll need to open your own account. Good luck." 30 minutes later, the phone rang again. She was screaming into the voicemail. "They want a deposit. The power company wants a $500 deposit because I have no credit history. My card is declining. David, fix this." I didn't fix it. I poured myself a glass of whiskey. A very expensive whiskey that I could afford because I wasn't paying for a penthouse anymore. and watched a movie. The real blow came a week later. The lease renewal notice arrived at the penthouse. Or rather, the notice of non-renewal. My company had declined to renew the lease. The building management sent a notice to the unit stating that the premises must be vacated by the end of the month. Sarah called me in hysterics. "They're kicking me out." The doorman gave me an eviction notice. He said the company canceled the lease. Where am I supposed to go? I answered this time. "Hello, Sarah." I said, "David, you have to talk to them. Tell them it's a mistake. I live here." "You live in a corporate unit provided by my firm," I said calmly. "Since I no longer reside there, the firm has no reason to maintain the lease. It's a business decision. It's just numbers." "But I have nowhere to go," she sobbed. "Trevor's place it's crowded. I can't live there." "Trevor?" I asked, feigning surprise. "The personal trainer? I thought you needed space to find yourself." "Did you find yourself at Trevor's apartment?" Silence. "You knew," she whispered. "I've known since the hotel charge, Sarah," I said. "I've known about the texts. I've known about Tulum. By the way, how are you planning to pay for Tulum?" "With my miles." I made a mistake," she stammered. "David, please. I messed up. It was a fantasy. It wasn't real. I want you back. I want to come home." "You are home," I said. "You wanted the apartment. You have it for, let's see, 6 more days. Enjoy the view." "David, please. I love you." "No, Sarah," I said. "You loved the lifestyle. You loved the logistics. You loved that the bills magically disappeared. You didn't love the man who paid them. And now that man is gone." I hung up. I didn't block her. I wanted to see the messages. I wanted to see the desperation. Call it petty. Call it vengeful. I call it an audit trail. She spent the next week begging. She sent long, rambling texts about how Trevor was a loser, how he couldn't even buy her dinner, how she missed our conversations. I didn't reply. She was evicted on the 1st of the month. She had to move back in with her parents in the suburbs. A 32-year-old woman, sleeping in her childhood twin bed, surrounded by boxes of designer clothes she could no longer afford to dry clean. I finalized the divorce 3 months later. Because we had the separation agreement, the one she signed voluntarily, she had no claim to my assets acquired after the date of separation. And because the penthouse was never ours, there was no property to divide. She walked away with her clothes, her jewelry, and a credit card bill for a hotel stay that I refused to pay. I saw her recently. I was at a coffee shop reviewing some files. She walked in. She looked tired. The vibrancy was gone. She was wearing old jeans. She saw me, and for a second, I saw that spark of hope in her eyes. She started to walk toward me. I didn't smile. I didn't wave. I just looked at her, then looked back down at my ledger. I turned the page. She stopped. She hesitated. And then, she turned around and walked out. She finally understood. The account was closed. The assets were liquidated. And the auditor had moved on to a new client, himself. Gentlemen, there is a lesson here. When you build a life for someone, make sure they appreciate the foundation. Because if they start swinging a sledgehammer at the support beams, don't stand there and try to hold the roof up. Step aside. Let it collapse. And make sure you are standing a safe distance away, holding the insurance policy. Being the boring one, the predictable one, the logistician, that isn't a weakness. It is a superpower. Because we control the reality. We control the lights. We control the exits. And when they decide to leave, we are the ones who get to decide whether they leave with a golden parachute, or if they just hit the pavement. I chose the pavement, and I slept like a baby that night. If you enjoyed this audit, do me a favor. Hit the like button. It tells the algorithm that men still care about justice. And if you've ever had to audit your own relationship, tell me about it in the comments. Did you catch the discrepancy early? Or did you wait for the crash? Subscribe to the channel. I've got more stories from the files coming soon. Stay solvent, gentlemen.